25 incredible PS5 solo adventures await you in 2025 and 2026, from emotional masterpieces to breathtaking open worlds. Starting strong at number 1, Ghost of Yotei is the long-awaited follow-up to the beloved Ghost of Tsushima, and it absolutely delivers on every level. You play as Atsu, a wandering ronin on a revenge mission across the stunning landscapes of Ezo, the historical region we know today as Hokkaido. The combat system takes everything that made Tsushima so satisfying and sharpens it further, giving every duel a visceral, reactive quality that never gets old. The open world here feels remarkably alive, packed with dynamic weather, dense forests, and a visual fidelity that pushes the PS5 hardware hard. Atsu herself is one of the most compelling protagonists in recent PlayStation history, carrying the weight of her story with real emotional depth. Whether you are exploring remote mountain paths or clashing blades with the Yotei 6, this game keeps you hooked from beginning to end, a must-own title for any PS5 owner. Coming in at number 2, Astro Bot is nothing short of a masterpiece wrapped in pure PlayStation joy. This is the full-scale adventure that the beloved mascot always deserved, and developer Team Asobi absolutely knocked it out of the park. At its core, the game is a brilliantly designed 3D platformer that feels tight, inventive, and endlessly fun to play. Each level introduces something new, whether it is a creative power-up mechanic, a clever nod to PlayStation history, or a boss encounter that genuinely surprises you. The DualSense controller integration is some of the best on PS5, with haptic feedback and adaptive triggers that make every action feel tangible. It is the kind of game that reminds you why you fell in love with gaming in the first place. Lighthearted on the surface, but technically impressive underneath, Astro Bot earned its Game of the Year crown and remains an essential addition to any PS5 library. Number 3 on this list is Elden Ring, the sprawling, open-world action RPG from Software that redefined what the genre could be on modern hardware. Set in the lands between, you play as a Tarnished seeking to restore the Elden Ring and claim the title of Elden Lord. What makes this game extraordinary is how it blends From Software's signature punishing combat with a massive, seamlessly connected open world that rewards curiosity at every turn. Every fog-covered dungeon, every towering legacy dungeon, and every field boss encounter feels like a discovery worth remembering. The lore, co-written with author George R.R. Martin, adds a mythological depth that draws you deeper into this shattered world. Even after dozens of hours, Elden Ring continues to surprise. With over 30 million copies sold, this is not just one of the best PS5 games, it is one of the greatest games ever made. Fourth on the list, and still impossible to put down, God of War Ragnarok is the epic conclusion to Kratos and Atreus' Norse saga that no PS5 owner should miss. Santa Monica Studio raised the bar dramatically from its 2018 predecessor, delivering a massive, emotionally resonant adventure that spans all 9 Norse realms. The combat feels more refined and versatile than ever, with Kratos wielding both the Leviathan axe and the Blades of Chaos in fluid, satisfying combinations. Story-wise, this is among the most mature and emotionally complex narratives in gaming, exploring themes of legacy, identity, and the cost of violence in ways that genuinely hit hard. The side content is rich and meaningful, never feeling like filler. Every realm has its own visual identity and gameplay beats. It is the kind of sequel that makes you appreciate how good its predecessor was while surpassing it in nearly every single way. Sliding into number 5, Hollow Knight Silksong is the long-awaited sequel from Team Cherry that fans waited years for, and the wait was absolutely worth it. This time, you play as Hornet, a faster and more agile protagonist than the original Knight, with a moveset built around precise, acrobatic combat and a toolkit of throwable weapons and traps. The game takes place in the all-new insect kingdom of Farloom, a beautifully crafted world filled with new enemies, intricate level design, and an atmosphere that somehow feels both familiar and entirely fresh. Boss fights are the undeniable highlight here, each one a cinematic, multi-phase encounter that demands patience and pattern recognition. The art direction is stunning, the audio design is exceptional, and the difficulty is punishing but always fair. Silksong managed to collect 6 nominations at the Game Awards and is already regarded as one of the finest action platformers of its generation. At number 6, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach is the kind of game only Hideo Kojima could make, and it is more ambitious than ever. Set in a post-apocalyptic world where delivering cargo across treacherous terrain is both gameplay and metaphor, the sequel expands on the original formula in meaningful ways. Combat and stealth sections are more frequent and more varied this time, breaking up the meditative traversal with moments of genuine tension. The story remains wonderfully strange, featuring standout performances from a star-studded cast, including Elle Fanning, whose motion-captured work adds real emotional weight to the narrative. The world itself is breathtakingly detailed, full of ruined cities, towering mountains, and eerie supernatural phenomena. On PS5 Pro, this is one of the best-looking games ever released. It is slow at times, yes, but there is nothing else in gaming that delivers this kind of experience, a deeply unique and unforgettable solo journey. Number 7 goes to Clair Obscur Expedition 33, one of the most stunning and original RPGs to emerge in years, and arguably the defining game of 2025. Developed by Sandfall Interactive, this French-made title draws inspiration from classic turn-based JRPGs, while wrapping it all in a hauntingly beautiful Belle Epoque aesthetic. The world-building is extraordinary, built around the concept of the Paintress, a mysterious figure who erases entire generations from existence each year. The combat system blends traditional turn-based mechanics with real-time parry and dodge inputs, giving every battle a kinetic energy that keeps you fully engaged. The writing is sharp, the character work is emotionally layered, and the soundtrack is genuinely breathtaking. This game surprised the entire gaming world upon release and walked away with numerous Game of the Year nominations. It is the kind of debut title that immediately establishes a developer as one to watch forever. Entering at number 8, Silent Hill F is a chilling return to form for one of gaming's most iconic horror franchises. Set in the fictional Japanese mountain town of Ibisugalka in the 1960s, the game follows protagonist Hinako as she navigates a series of deeply unsettling supernatural events that blur the line between memory, trauma, and the monstrous unknown. Developed by Nioh Entertainment, this entry leans harder into combat than past entries, but never at the expense of atmosphere. The presentation is nothing short of stunning, with a hauntingly beautiful visual style that frames its horror through the lens of traditional Japanese aesthetics and folk imagery. The soundtrack has drawn particular praise from critics, creating an audio experience that lingers long after you put the controller down. It may not connect directly to the broader Silent Hill lore, but as a standalone horror experience, it earns its place in the franchise with confidence. Stepping into the spotlight at number 9, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is the definitive version of Sucker Punch's breathtaking open-world samurai epic and remains one of the finest action games on PS5. You play as Jin Sakai, one of the last samurai on Tsushima Island, fighting to repel the Mongol invasion through a combination of honorable swordsmanship and guerrilla tactics. The combat is fluid, expressive, and deeply satisfying, with a variety of stances and techniques that keep encounters feeling dynamic throughout the entire runtime. The world of Tsushima is staggeringly beautiful, filled with golden forests, black sand beaches, and windswept cliffs that practically beg to be photographed. The director's cut adds the Aiki Island expansion, which delivers a compelling standalone story, packed with new enemies, environments, and emotional depth. Even in the shadow of its sequel, Ghost of Yotei, Tsushima stands tall as an essential PS5 experience that rewards patient, immersive play. Coming in at number 10, Resident Evil 4 Remake is a masterclass in how to modernize a classic without losing its soul. Capcom took one of the most beloved survival horror games ever made and rebuilt it from the ground up for a new generation, preserving everything that made Leon S. Kennedy's original missions so iconic, while enhancing it with modern gameplay systems, a richer visual presentation, and a more nuanced narrative. The over-the-shoulder combat feels incredibly precise and satisfying, and the game balances tension, action, and exploration in a way that few games in the genre manage to pull off. The enemy encounters are cleverly designed, the environments are richly detailed, and the pacing is near perfect from start to finish. Whether you are a longtime fan of the original or experiencing this story for the first time, Resident Evil 4 Remake stands as one of the best action horror experiences you can have on PS5 right now. At number 11, Horizon Forbidden West is an absolutely stunning sequel that expands on its predecessor's world in every meaningful way.
Following Aloy's journey westward to uncover the source of a deadly plague threatening all life on Earth, the game delivers an expansive open world filled with mechanical creatures to hunt, tribes to encounter, and ancient secrets to unravel beneath the surface. The combat system has been significantly upgraded, offering a wider variety of bows, traps, elemental strategies, and melee options that give you genuine flexibility in how you approach each encounter. Graphically, this is one of the most beautiful games on PS5, with lush jungles, sunken cities, and underwater environments that showcase the console's raw visual power. The side quests here are notably strong, often tying back to the main narrative in meaningful ways, rather than feeling like padding. For fans of open-world exploration with a rich science fiction story at its heart, Forbidden West is unmissable.
Sliding in at number 12, Alan Wake 2 is the long-awaited return of one of gaming's most atmospheric and creatively daring franchises, and it did not disappoint. Remedy Entertainment crafted a dual-protagonist experience that switches between FBI agent Saga Anderson conducting a gripping investigation in the real world and writer Alan Wake navigating a terrifying dark dimension where he can literally rewrite reality by altering story elements. The horror is genuinely effective, building dread through environmental storytelling, clever audio design, and moments of surreal psychological tension. Visually, this is one of the best-looking games ever made, particularly in performance mode on PS5. The writing is ambitious and self-aware, blending metafiction with genuine emotional stakes in a way that feels unlike anything else in the medium. If you enjoy games that treat you as an intelligent adult and reward close attention, Alan Wake 2 is an essential and unforgettable experience from beginning to end. Number 13 belongs to Metaphor ReFantazio, the genre-defining JRPG from Atlus that took the world by storm in 2025. Set in a fictional medieval fantasy kingdom gripped by political upheaval, you play as a young man on a quest to break a curse on the prince while navigating a society stratified by rigid class hierarchies. The turn-based combat is deep, stylish, and strategically rewarding, layered with the archetype system that lets you freely customize your party's roles and abilities in creative combinations. The social simulation elements that Atlus is known for are woven into the fabric of the journey, giving every relationship and every town visit real narrative weight. The art direction is jaw-dropping, mixing anime aesthetics with storybook illustration in a style that feels completely unique. Metaphor ReFantazio is more than just a great JRPG. It is a thoughtful, politically aware story about courage, prejudice, and what it means to lead with genuine humanity. At number 14, Nioh 3 is the best entry yet in Team Ninja's beloved Souls-like franchise, refining everything that made the previous two games great while pushing the formula into exciting new territory. Set in feudal Japan with supernatural elements woven throughout, the combat remains the core draw, demanding precise weapon switching, key pulse management, and mastery of the stance system to handle the punishing enemy encounters that define the series. This entry benefits from years of refinement, offering one of the cleanest and most responsive action combat systems in the genre today. Boss fights are spectacular, each one a carefully choreographed test of skill that feels genuinely rewarding to overcome. The loot system keeps progression satisfying across the full runtime, and the variety of weapons and guardian spirits ensures no two builds feel quite the same. For players who want a deeply mechanical and challenging single-player action game on PS5, Nioh 3 is the benchmark of the genre right now. Arriving in 15th place, Pragmata is Capcom's bold and refreshingly original new IP that quickly became one of 2026's most talked-about releases. You play in a near-future sci-fi setting where hacking puzzles form the backbone of the gameplay loop, evolving in complexity and creativity as the game progresses. What elevates Pragmata beyond its clever mechanical foundation is the heartfelt story at its center, following the relationship between a mysterious astronaut and a young girl as they navigate a world on the edge of collapse. The game constantly escalates its challenges in ways that feel surprising rather than exhausting, introducing new mechanics regularly to keep things fresh right up to the final chapter. Visually, it is stunning, with a distinct aesthetic that sets it apart from anything else in Capcom's catalog. Critics have praised it as one of the year's strongest original titles, and it stands as proof that big publishers can still take meaningful creative risks and succeed. Number 16 on our countdown is Saros, an exclusive PS5 experience that arrived in 2026 and immediately impressed with its commitment to atmosphere and fresh gameplay ideas. From the creators of Returnal, Housemarque returns with another science fiction experience that leans into their signature blend of intense action and environmental storytelling. The game takes place on the strange, shifting planet of Carcosa, where you rise against a corrupting supernatural eclipse and face off against behemothic alien boss encounters that rank among the most spectacular in recent memory. The sense of scale is remarkable, and the PS5 hardware is pushed hard to render Carcosa's constantly evolving environments in stunning detail. The DualSense integration is exceptional as always from Housemarque, making every weapon and movement feel physically present in your hands. For players who love challenging, atmospheric single-player experiences with a strong science fiction flavor, Saros is one of 2026's most essential releases.
Coming in at number 17, Baldurs Gate 3 is a landmark achievement in role-playing game design and arguably the most impressive RPG ever released on console hardware. Developed by Larian Studios, the game faithfully translates the Dungeons & Dragons experience into an interactive narrative of extraordinary depth and breadth. You and your companions have been infected by a parasitic tadpole that grants dangerous powers and threatens to transform you into a mind flayer, setting the stage for an adventure that spans hundreds of hours across 3 massive acts. Every decision carries real weight, with branching consequences that ripple across the entire story in ways that continually surprise you. The companion characters are among the best written in any RPG, each with their own layered motivations and story arcs that evolve based on your choices. Multiple playthroughs feel genuinely different, which is a testament to the sheer volume of meaningful content packed into this generation-defining experience. At number 18, Mafia The Old Country is a confident return to the roots of one of gaming's most underappreciated franchises. Set in early 20th century Sicily, you follow Enzo Favara as he rises through the ranks of the Torrisi crime family in a world of loyalty, betrayal, and tradition. Unlike recent Mafia entries, The Old Country leans into a tightly structured narrative experience over open-world exploration, prioritizing cinematic storytelling and focused mission design that feel closer to the spirit of the original game. The writing is sharp, the period setting is realized with impressive visual detail, and the gameplay strikes a satisfying balance between melee brawling, gunplay, and stealth. One-on-one knife fights are a recurring highlight, tense and deliberate in a way that adds real drama to key encounters. Graphically, this is one of the finest looking games on PS5, bringing its Mediterranean setting to life with exceptional fidelity, a must for fans of story-driven crime dramas.
Number 19 is The Alters, an ambitious and emotionally rich science fiction game that blends base management, exploration, and philosophical storytelling into one of the most original single-player experiences in recent memory. You play as Jan Dulski, a lone survivor stranded on a hostile alien world, who must create alternate versions of himself, altered by different life choices, to form a crew capable of survival. The premise is fascinating, and the execution is brave, asking you to manage not just resources, but relationships between versions of yourself who made different decisions, hold different values, and sometimes resent each other profoundly. The writing handles these tensions with genuine sophistication, never shying away from the uncomfortable questions the concept raises. Base building and planetary exploration provide satisfying structure between the narrative beats. Critics have called it one of the most emotionally affecting games of its release window, and it stands as a prime example of indie ambition producing truly extraordinary results. Settling into 20th place, Blue Prince is a stunning puzzle game that defies easy categorization and has quietly become one of the most celebrated titles of 2025. You inherit a mysterious estate with 46 rooms and a basement vault that may or may not hold the solution to an ancient family secret. The twist is that the layout of the house changes every time you enter it, making each run a fresh experience of discovery and deduction. The puzzles are layered with extraordinary care, rewarding observation, logic, and patience in equal measure. There are no tutorials, no hand-holding, just the house and its secrets waiting to be uncovered at your own pace. What makes Blueprints truly special is how its mystery deepens the longer you engage with it, with revelations that recontextualize everything you thought you understood. It is the kind of game that occupies your thoughts when you are away from it, and returning to it always feels like peeling back another layer of a genuinely brilliant onion.
At number 21, Cairn is a mountain climbing game that has no right to be as tense and emotionally compelling as it is. You play as Ava, a climber attempting to ascend a brutal peak, managing every handhold, every piece of equipment, and every ounce of stamina with painstaking care. The game never lets you forget the stakes, and a single mistimed move can send you falling in a moment of genuine heart-stopping panic. What elevates Cairn beyond a simple skill test is the atmosphere, a vivid sense of wonder at the natural world that coexists with constant peril. The visual presentation is beautiful, rendering the mountain in rich environmental detail that shifts with the altitude and weather. Progression feels earned in the truest sense, because every meter of ascent requires real decision-making and composure under pressure. Critics praised it as reaching a new peak for its genre, and it stands as one of the most distinctive and rewarding PS5 experiences you can have in 2026.
Checking in at number 22, Black Myth Wukong is the breakout sensation that captured the entire gaming world's attention and delivered on its extraordinary visual promise with equally extraordinary gameplay. Based on the classic Chinese novel, Journey to the West, you play as the Destined One, a warrior retracing the steps of the legendary Sun Wukong through a world steeped in Chinese mythology and folklore. The combat is fast, fluid, and deeply satisfying, built around transformation abilities, spellcasting, and precise staff combat that grows more expressive as you unlock new skills. Boss encounters are the undeniable highlight, each one a visually spectacular confrontation against creatures drawn from ancient mythological tradition. The world design is some of the most breathtaking seen on any platform, with environments that range from sun-drenched bamboo forests to snow-capped ancient temples. For a debut game from a new studio, Black Myth Wukong represents an achievement that few teams ever manage on their first major release.
At number 23, Kena Bridge of Spirits is a visually stunning third-person action adventure that punches well above its weight for an indie title. You play as Kena, a young spirit guide who must help the souls of the deceased find peace by confronting the trauma and grief that keeps them tethered to the world. The gameplay blends precise combat with environmental puzzle solving and exploration, all tied together by the Rot, a collection of tiny forest spirits that assist Kena in both traversal and battle. The combat has real depth, with parry timing, ability cooldowns, and upgrade paths that reward mastery without overwhelming newcomers. Visually, Kena is extraordinary, featuring animation quality and environmental detail that rival productions with far larger budgets. The emotional storytelling is handled with surprising sensitivity for a debut game. It is the kind of experience that leaves you smiling and quietly moved by the end, and it deserves every ounce of praise it continues to receive.
Coming in at 24, Returnal is one of the most daring and original PlayStation exclusives ever created. A game that demanded patience and dedication, but rewarded them with one of the most intense and atmospheric single-player experiences on the platform. You play as Celine, an astronaut trapped in a time loop on a hostile alien planet called Atropos, dying and respawning in an endless cycle that slowly reveals the dark truth behind her past. The roguelite structure is relentless, but the third-person bullet hell combat is so extraordinarily responsive and satisfying that every run feels worth it. The narrative unfolds through environmental exploration and audio logs, demanding active engagement to piece together its deeply unsettling psychological mystery. On PS5, the DualSense integration is among the most impressive on the platform, with haptic feedback that makes every weapon and every step through Atropos feel tangible. This is a challenging, uncompromising, and genuinely unforgettable game.
Closing out this incredible list at number 25, Stellar Blade is a visually spectacular and mechanically polished action game that arrived as a true showcase for PS5 hardware. You play as Eve, a warrior descending from an orbital colony to reclaim Earth from a monstrous race called the Naitiva. The combat is the core of the experience, built around a tight rhythm of dodges, parries, and precise counters that rewards players who commit to learning its systems. Each enemy type demands a different approach, and the boss encounters are particularly impressive, requiring real skill and pattern recognition to overcome.
The world design blends post-apocalyptic devastation with pockets of strange beauty, and the visual fidelity throughout is consistently jaw-dropping. The storyline draws on classic science fiction themes, with enough originality to keep it engaging across its full runtime. As a single-player action game crafted specifically for PS5, Stellar Blade is a confident, ambitious, and thoroughly entertaining note to end on.